that when they put her in the bin, that she was no longer breathing?
Yes.
Okay. And that all occurred at the 765 McDaniel Street apartment?
Yes.
And that's here in Fulton County?
Yes.
Okay. Now, when Mr. Brantley was, I guess, describing to you what him and Ms. Jones did to Ms. Crawford, where was this occurring?
This occurred in the living room of 765 McDaniel Street.
Where the actual interview occurred, I'm sorry.
Oh, the interview, I'm sorry. The interview was down, first it started in the headquarters in our suspect room. Then it was down in the bay. He wanted a cigarette.
Okay. As a result of the interview with Mr. Brantley, what were your, I guess, next steps or additional steps?
Like I said, I searched the apartment again, but was obtained arrest warrants for Jordyn Jones.
Okay. And what were those arrest warrants for?
Murder.
And were the same warrants taken out previously or prior to you taking the warrants for Ms. Jones for Mr. Brantley?
Yes.
Okay. And forgive me if this is a repeat, but when you went back to the 765 McDaniel Street apartment with doing another search warrant, what exactly did you do?
Well, the crime scene unit, I told him exactly, during the conversation with Mr. Brantley, he stated they cleaned up the blood, they cleaned up the crime scene, and he told me where they cleaned it up. So we concentrated in the living room. We sealed off all the windows, made it very dark in there, and we sprayed luminol to see if any places of where blood may be. Mm-hmm. And we found five or six different places.
Okay. Were they in the living room?
Yes.
Okay. So it matched the description of where Mr. Brantley had told you during his interview that this incident which led to the death of Ms. Crawford occurred?
Correct.
Okay. Now, through your investigation, sir, have you had an opportunity to speak with the medical examiner?
Yes.
And were they able to tell you the cause of death?
Yes, it was asphyxiation.
Asphyxiation?
Yes.
Okay. And were they able to tell you the manner of death?
Homicide.
And Detective Young, do you see the individual that you spoke to, Barron Brantley, on November 8th here in this courtroom?
Yes.
And if you'll do me a favor, if you will point and identify him by an article of clothing.
He's wearing a blue jumpsuit next to Ms. Bray.
Your Honor, if we'd let the record reflect that the detective has identified the defendant.
The record will so reflect.
Your Honor, I don't have any questions. Further questions at this time, pending redirect.
Thank you, Mr. Abadi. Any cross, Ms. Bray?
There will be, Your Honor. Hold 1 second, please.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Detective Young, how are you?
How you doing?
Okay, just, I don't know if there was maybe I misunderstood something. You stated that her friend, Ayanna Williams,
Yes.
made a phone call, a little tip to the police, right?
Not a phone call. She sent screenshots of her text messages between her and Jordyn Jones.
So now I missed that.
I'm sorry. My bad.
She sent screenshots to Sergeant Mitchell between Jordyn Jones and her,
Between Jordyn Jones
and Ayanna Williams.
and Ayanna Williams.
Yes,
And those text messages were from 2 days after Ms. Crawford was
I can
missing?
refer to my notes if I can check the times.
Yes, please do that.
Regarding what part? The bin?
Okay, when were the when was Jordyn Jones asking Ayanna Williams to help her replace a bin?
That started on the 3rd of November.
November 3rd?
Yes.
Okay. Now, let's go back to the video from the parking deck. You said that the video shows Jordyn Jones getting in her car along with Mr. Brantley, and they move it over to a door that was connected to their apartment or something?
No,
What was that part?
it backs out of view, and they back up to, it's like a vestibule. It has a door that has 6 steps that leads to their hallway where their apartment's located at.
Okay. And so you don't see what's taking place there?
No,
Okay. And Jordyn is driving, right?
No.
Who's, Mr. Brantley?
Mr. Brantley.
Okay. And when they leave out of the parking deck, was there video showing the direction that that car goes in?
No,
No video.
no video. You see it traveling through the parking deck,
Okay.
but they don't have video of the exit.
Of the exits to that apartment
That's correct.
complex, I meant, yeah.
Yes.
Okay. And the car leaves at what time?
At 3:17.
Okay, and it comes
AM.
3:17 a.m., so
Yes.
this is Halloween morning, right?
Yes.
And then it comes back in view into the parking deck at
4:09
4:09.
a.m.
Okay. All right. When Miss Crawford's body was recovered, was it inside of a bin, a plastic bin?
No, it had fell out.
It had fallen out of the bin?
Yes. Because it was a hill. Once they pushed it over, the bin came open and her body was up right next to the bin.
Okay. All right. And y'all have recovered the bin, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so. Okay. Covered the bin.
Where it was found was on Exchange Place in Decatur, and that's where Mr. Brantley described it would be.
Exchange Park.
Exchange Park,
Yes.
excuse me.
Okay, I thought it was Miss Jordan who described where it would be, or who took y'all
No,
to the,
Yes, Ms. Jones took us to the.
Miss Jones, right?
Yes.
Okay. So she was in the car with you and traveled with you to where she thought it was?
Well, we tried a couple of parks before then, and then we finally got to Exchange Park, and that's what she stated. Once we went into Exchange Park, this is going to be the park.
Okay. And you stated that you pulled Miss Crawford's phone records, Mr. Brantley's phone records. What about Miss Jordan's? I'm just,
We have our phone records.
so you pulled everybody's phone records?
Yes, at that time of the interview, we didn't have her phone records.
At the time of Miss Jordan's interview, you did not have her phone records?
That's correct. We had.
Okay,
we-
but you had Mr. Brantley and you had Miss Crawford?
Yes.
Okay. And this is just a question because I'm curious here. The first search warrant that you did of the apartment, you stated you found one spot of blood, and that spot of blood was in Jordan's bathroom, right?
That's correct on the sink. It was a very small drop.
Okay. And at this point in time, you don't know that Miss Crawford is deceased?
That's correct.
Okay, so that is why you did not do the luminol test thing at that time?
That's correct.
Okay. And is it the first search warrant, or the first search that you do, or the second search where you say you found a sponge that had blood and hair on it?
It was a second search
The second search. And where was that sponge found?
on the kitchen sink.
In the kitchen sink, okay. And was there any evidence of blood, other than that sponge, shown in the kitchen?
No,
No, okay. So you believe that what happened took place solely in the living room area?
yes.
Okay. Now, let me ask you this, because the apartment is on the 3rd floor, right?
I believe so.
Right? And so
Yes.
there are apartments on either side of it, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so those people were questioned
Yes,
during
I-
this investigation?
Yes.
Okay. Were they questioned about the particular night, October 30th leading up into October 31st? Were they questioned about whether or not they heard anything take place from Jordyn and Miss Alexis' apartment?
They haven't been questioned since the arrest. They've been questioned. It was questioned before to try to figure out what happened to Alexis, and they didn't hear anything out of place.
Okay. Did anybody see anything, such as a bin being moved?
No, ma'am. I think because it was 3 o'clock in the
Good
morning.
morning. Okay.
you know.
All right. Now, let's go back to, I think it was October 26th or October 27th, regarding what was the date of the alleged sexual assault?
Occurred on the 26th.
On the 26th.
Yes.
And the person who made the phone call was Jordyn, correct?
Regarding the sexual assault.
No, well, how did the police come to the apartment on the 26th?
Okay, on the 26th for APD case number 192992403, Jordyn called to report her car stolen.
Her car stolen,
Yes.
okay? So Alexis didn't call to report a rape,
Not at that time.
right, okay? And it's not until the police get there regarding Jordyn calling about her car being stolen, right, that Alexis says, oh, I was sexually assaulted?
No, Jordyn actually called her friend Brittany, which is a friend of her sister's, and said, my car's stolen, also I think something happened to my friend. Brittany comes over to talk to Alexis and Jordyn, and she finds out. Alexis then disclosed to her that she was assaulted, and then Brittany called 911 on 10/27 at 1:01 a.m.
Okay.
I have that case number if you need
Just go ahead and give us that case
it.
number.
193000201. That's the sexual assault.
Okay, so let's back up a minute. October 26th, they're celebrating the Spell House homecoming, right?
Yes.
And all three of them are drinking, correct?
Yes.
Right? Alexis is drinking, Barron is drinking, Jordyn is drinking. Jordyn says, hey, she drank so much, she had to go lay down, right?
Yeah. They went out and came back in the house.
Okay, but they were still drinking when they came back in the
Yes.
house, correct?
Correct.
All right, and so at some point, Jordyn's had what she's had, and she goes and she lays down. She leaves Barron and Alexis in the living room, right?
Yes.
Okay. When she wakes up an hour later, she goes out. They're not in the living room, correct?
That's correct.
All right, and
According to
so
her story.
she's looking for them, right?
Yes.
And she goes into Alexis' bedroom. They're not in the bedroom, right? Is that correct?
That's correct.
Instead, they're in the bathroom, right?
Correct.
And doors locked,
Yes.
lights are off.
Don't know about the lights.
Didn't ask about that one.
No.
Okay. Isn't it true? Well, maybe Jordyn didn't tell you this. So Jordyn, realizing they're in the bathroom, doesn't she attack Alexis that night?
Physically?
Yes. Did they not have an argument that night regarding Alexis being in the bathroom with Barron?
Jordyn was upset with her. I don't know if she attacked her. She
Okay.
was upset with her that she was in the bathroom with him.
With her boyfriend Barron?
Yes.
Right, okay. And did Jordyn say to you that at that point, Alexis says, oh, he raped me?
No.
Right. Alexis didn't disclose that to Jordyn?
Alexis said she was blacked out,
Okay,
drunk, not conscious.
Did Jordyn say that she was blacked out, drunk, unconscious?
She said yes, and Jordyn said that, and then she went to the closet. She found her in a closet when Jordyn came back inside of the house after chasing Brantley for her car.
Okay. Okay. All right. And so Jordyn is calling 911 regarding the car.
Yes,
She's not calling 911 regarding, hey, my roommate has been sexually assaulted.
no.
No, okay. And this Brittany person, who is this Brittany person?
It's like a mentor. She graduated Clark 10 years prior, and she knows Jordyn's older sister.
Okay. And so after calling 911, Jordyn calls Brittany,
Yes,
and Brittany comes over,
yes.
okay? Is Alexis awake at this time?
According to Brittany, Alexis is sitting on the ground and she's crying.
Okay. And after Brittany speaks to Alexis, she hears from Alexis this allegation regarding a sexual assault
Yes,
while she was passed out or something.
yes,
Okay. And then Brittany, does she call 911?
yes,
Okay. So it's 2 phone calls to 911.
yes.
Okay. Have you spoken to any of the people that Miss Alexis spoke to at Grady?
No,
No. Okay. So when Brittany called 911, an officer responded though, right?
yes.
Shouldn't there
Officer
been-
and, I'm sorry,
Go ahead.
and fire and EMS.
So all those people responded?
Yes.
Okay. So have you spoken to the officers who came that night?
We have body cam footage from one of the responding officers. I haven't spoken to the fire or the EMS personnel.
Okay, but you've seen the body cam footage from that officer who
From-
responded that night?
Yes, one of them.
One of them. Okay.
Regarding I just wanted to figure out what Alexis told the officer.
Right, I do too.
Yeah,
Yes.
and we reviewed that body cam.
Okay. And was Jordyn questioned that night about this possible sexual assault by the police?
Yes.
Okay, so is that on body cam too?
No, that's actually audio recorded.
I'm sorry,
Audio recorded.
audio recording. All right. And you heard the audio recording?
Yes.
And what exactly does Jordyn say?
The same thing, she was drunk, she went to sleep, or she felt sick, went in her room. When she came out, she couldn't find him, knocked on the bathroom door.
So she knocked on the bathroom door?
Yeah, because it was locked.
Right. It wasn't that he just came out and said, hey, nothing happened, blah, blah, blah. She's banging on that bathroom door.
Yeah,
She said that, right?
yes,
Because her roommate is in there with a boyfriend.
yes.
Yeah.
Or she was trying to find him.
Right. Okay. Continue.
Then he came out of the bathroom door. He said, I didn't touch her, I didn't rape her. Took her car keys and then fled the scene.
Okay. So when he comes out, and according to Jordyn, he makes that statement, what is Alexis doing?
She's just laying on the floor, she's passed out.
She had passed out at that point, is what Jordyn is saying.
Yes.
Okay. So is Jordyn the one who gets Alexis out of the bathroom and puts her in the
So, Ms. Ray, I'm
closet?
gonna stop this at this
What?
point. We have straight, and I've given you plenty of room, okay?
I know.
But we are now so far from our legal purpose for being here, I'm gonna reel you back in.
Alrighty, Your Honor.
You got anything else relevant to a murder?
Okay, I will get to that, Your Honor.
Get to it now.
Yes, Your Honor. So, on the night that Jordyn says she takes Alexis to the liquor store, right? That would be October 30th?
Yes.
Right, okay. Granted, she initially denied knowing anything, but at some point, she tells you that she and Alexis got into a physical fight that night,
Yes. Well,
Right.
the early mornings of
the early mornings of October 31st.
Yes.
And she is saying Mr. Brantley wasn't a part of the fight when their fight began, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, but at some point, he comes out and joins in the fight or tries to break up the fight?
According to Ms. Jones,
Yes.
Ms. Jones said he came out and choked Alexis.
Okay. All right. And at what point then does she say that she took a plastic bag and put it over her head?
She doesn't say that.
So where did you get that part from?
Mr. Brantley.
From Mr. Brantley?
Mhm.
Did you find a plastic bag or anything
Yes.
when you located the body?
Yes.
Okay. You recovered fingerprints or anything from that plastic
That
bag?
has to be tested.
Has to be tested?
Yes.
Okay. Wait a minute. Now, did Jordyn advise that she helped clean up the crime scene?
She said no.
She said no.
No.
So once the body is dropped off over in Exchange Park in Decatur, they come back to the apartment
Yes.
and what?
They go to sleep and then they go to a Halloween party that afternoon.
That happened. Okay. So when is the apartment cleaned? Did we find out?
Prior to loading, according to Mr. Brantley, prior to loading up Miss Crawford, putting her in the bin.
Okay. One second. Let me review my own note, one second, Your Honor. All right, no further questions, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Gray, anything else, Mr. Abadi?
Very few questions, Your Honor.
All right.
Detective Young, just to clear,
Before you start, just so that Ms. Bray and Mr. Brantley have some notice, what charges are you requesting probable cause on?
murder, felony murder, aggravated assault, strangulation, and concealing the death of another.
Okay, thank you, sir. Please proceed.
Yes. Thank you, Judge. Just to clear some confusion up about this bin. Now, can you tell the court why Ms. Jones was texting Ms. Williams, or Ayanna Williams, to buy another bin or to buy a bin?
Ms. Jones is doing that because the bin was purchased by her parents, and her parents were coming down to move her out, and she needed the reason why the bin was missing. Ms. Williams was supposed to say that she borrowed the bin and returned it to her aunt's house in Austell.
Okay. So if I'm hearing you correctly, she was replacing the bin that they put Ms. Crawford in.
That's correct.
Okay. And when Ms. Crawford was found in Exchange Park, can you tell, you said there were branches and things covering her body. Was she wrapped in anything?
Yes, a blue blanket.
And was there anything else of note that you noticed that was on her body?
The plastic bag, which had a hole in it, which Mr. Brantley's statement stated when Jordyn covered her face, she ripped a hole into it to breathe. She had her hoodie that she had on at night tied, her hands were bound, and a blue t-shirt was around her neck.
Okay. Anything else that you found unusual as well that was with her body?
There was some white substance on her body. It appeared to be baby powder to me. I'm not sure. That's being tested.
Now, during your interview with Mr. Brantley, after the 27th, when the alleged sexual assault occurred, where did Mr. Brantley tell you where he had been from the 27th through the time, the 31st, when Miss Crawford was killed?
Yes, Ms. Jones snuck him back into the house, and he actually stayed in the room, Ms. Jones's room. And they have like a roommate floor plan where you can close the door and just use the bathroom and the bedroom. He stayed in there until the night of the murder.
And during that interview, did he tell you if Miss Crawford knew he had been there at all that time?
Yeah, he said she didn't know. He actually was in the house alone with Miss Crawford at some point, and she never knew he was in there.
And because he was just closed in Miss Jones's bedroom?
Yes, Ms. Jones had to go to class.
And just for clarity, when did he come out of Miss Jones's bedroom?
The night of the murder.
Okay. And was that during the fight between the two girls?
Yes.
Okay. No further questions, Judge.
Anything else, Ms. Bray?
No, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Abadi, can Detective Young step down?
Yes, Judge.
All right, thank you, sir. Any other evidence from the state?
No, Judge.
All right, any evidence from the defense, Ms. Bray?
No, Your Honor.
Any argument?
I'm just seeking a ruling, Your Honor, at this point.
All right, so you're submitting on the record?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Based on the testimony presented by Detective Young, I am going to find that the state has established probable cause sufficient to bind the case over to Superior Court for presentment to the grand jury on one count of malice murder, one count of felony murder, one count of aggravated assault strangulation, and one count of concealing the death of another. Mr. Brantley, what this means, sir, is that someone besides the prosecutor and the police have had a chance to hear the evidence and make a decision as to whether or not there is sufficient evidence in the record created today for the case to move forward. And I find that there is sufficient evidence for the case to move forward. You have not been proved guilty of anything beyond a reasonable doubt. You remain presumed innocent, and that presumption will remain with you until it's overcome by the state, okay? At this proceeding, by law, hearsay is admissible. And also the testimony of a single witness is sufficient to establish a fact at this proceeding. So the rules here are somewhat relaxed when compared against the rules that will regard the presentation of evidence at an actual trial, okay? So my burden is lower than that of a fact finder at a trial where your guilt or innocence is at issue. Today is simply an opportunity for somebody who's not the DA and not the police to hear the evidence and not to find that there's sufficient evidence to move the case forward. I do not have jurisdiction to consider bond for you today. That has to be done before the presiding Superior Court judge. I know that Ms. Bray is familiar with the procedures and the timing involved in that, and I would anticipate that she would pursue that on your behalf. All right, sir? You have to just make sure you understand what I'm saying. All right. And so, before we close the record, is there anything else, Ms. Bray?
We just need we're gonna reset to the 90th day, the same day as Ms. Jordyn, I guess?
You agree, Mr. Avati?
Yes.
All right, so the 90th day, Ms. Fisher, is?
February 10th.
And Your Honor, I'm sorry, it would be February 9th for Mr. Brantley, because he was arrested one day prior to.
Well, because I'm basically out of jurisdiction today anyway, and because presiding Superior Court judge would have to hear his bond, unless there's an objection, I'm gonna keep them on the same day.
That's
And
fine.
the night falls on Sunday.
Excuse me?
The night falls on Sunday.
Okay, so it'll be Monday, February 10th,
Yes.
2020 will be our reset date. Anything else, Mr. Avati?
Nothing further from the state.
Ms. Bray?
No, no, no.
All right, then this matter is concluded.
Your Honor, I will me to present an order for protective custody for my client. I want him placed in protective custody, okay?
Present it,
And we'll sign it.
include the necessary showings and language, and I'll sign it.
Thank you.
Yep. Yes, sir. Excuse me, can everyone take conversations outside, please, and thank you?
Number 8 on the preliminary calendar, E-Judge Bill Cheesley. Arrived just after the court calls people.
Mr. Teasley? All right. Mr. Teasley, where were you at 9:30, sir?
Judges on the bench, ladies and gentlemen, court is in session.